Hello and welcome back to Bluebell Hill Crafts and to another episode of Slow Stitch Sunday. Since I've last seen you, I have filled in some of the blank spaces with more running stitches, and that has given the whole stitch scroll a little bit more body, and it has added texture and tied together all the various elements. So today I want to explore the fly stitch with you. This is an example of one of my stitchscapes, and you can see the fly stitch up here. It's really versatile, a great filler stitch, and it has lots of creative potential. I've got a little piece of raw silk that I'm using today. Just going to pin this in place. I'll be using this Aurifil thread in 8 weight from the Evolve collection by Susie Quilts, which Aurifil sent me, thank you very much, at the outset of this Slow Stitch Sunday series. So to start with, grab your needle and thread and just pick a place to come up with the needle. And at this point, the width of your stitch and also the height, just to illustrate here, determines the directionality of the fly stitch and how wide it will be and where it will be pointing. So just experiment with it. And don't overthink it too much to start with. So you will leave a little loop here. And then this is the point where you pick up the stitch. So see how much that can actually vary the stitch. So you come up inside, and then you lock it in place with the tiniest of stitches. And that is a complete fly stitch. Now you may be thinking that this reminds you of the feather stitch, and you are right. It is very similar, although it is not a standalone stitch. It is connected and it is great for borders, and I want to show you that next week. So I'm just going to add some more stitches before changing to a different colour. And I find I get the best random or scattered results when I just don't think and I just put the needle up. So the quicker I stitch almost, the more natural and random it looks, because you just don't have time to think about placement. And make sure that this loop isn't too tight before you pull it down. So if it is, you can just nudge it up again a little bit. And you can also interlink stitches by stitching across, and again that gives you more creative possibilities, especially when you're using different colours. I've switched to the middle colour now, and I'm going to start somewhere in the middle and then work my way down and across roughly. So you notice that most of these, except a rogue fly stitch down there, most of the stitches are pointing downwards with a V shape. I didn't really set out with that rule in mind, but it just happened to end up like that. But you can, point them in all sorts of directions if you prefer. I've come away so far down here, there isn't really anywhere else to go, so I am going to tie off and then probably do a few more up here, but it's saving a bit of thread rather than travelling it across such a long area on the back. It was time to switch to another thread, and instead of using this, because it was just a little bit too similar actually to the other colours, I'm going to take this off-white, not for it to show up, but to create texture with some fill-in running stitches. And changing course is something that I do quite often, and sometimes it's just nice to give yourself creative permission to change plans and not to stick with what you had in mind originally, because designs evolve and change, and I think that's nice. And just go with the flow. I don't really have a plan at this stage, other than that I want to fill in the rest of the blank spaces. And it's just going to be a really subtle look with the thread matching the raw silk. You can just give this a little tug to create a little bit more texture, because the light is reflected back differently across those stitches. You can also go underneath a stitch if you don't want to visibly go above it. My phone battery is running pretty low, so I think I'll be finishing this off tonight, and I'm just going to stitch over these areas here, make sure all the edges are secured, and I shall look forward to seeing you next week to explore the feather stitch. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Happy stitching!